Okay, guys, I apologize in advance for any background noise you might be hearing. But the windows are open. It's a beautiful day. I want that breeze blowing through. So we're going to look today at animation. How can you create animation? What we're going to do in Animation Club. And so animating is going to be different for everybody. What you choose to animate with is going to be up to you. I want to show you sort of what your choices are. And over the next couple weeks, what I'd like for you to do is think about which of these applications you're going to use, how you're going to animate, what kind of animation you're going to be able to create. And then we're going to talk a little bit next time about the idea of storyboarding, the idea of how we're going to start assembling and building our animations. Additionally, we're going to, as we continue on, we'll start looking at how your animations will take on mood and movements that are, more indicative of a particular style. And so everybody will have the opportunity to develop your own unique way of doing things. But just recognize that for the most part, we're all going to be animating individually. You're going to make your own animations. Now, having said that, if you would like to work and do a group project, and we're going to try to have a group project as part of our big group project for state competition, I'd love to have you participate in that as well. That will all probably animate something together in a unique and similar platform. So I want to just first show you some of the different alternatives you have to choose from that you can go ahead and take a look at and start exploring, so you can get an idea of what it is you want to create animation with. The first one I want to show you is Animation-ish. Animation-ish is one of my favorite online animation programs, and it did work with the Chromebooks from the district, and all summer long we got to use it, and it was fantastic. I understand though that for most of you it won't work, and so I don't know why they're not going to have it re-up the contract with it. But if yours is still working, Animation is a great one. And so it starts with Wiggle Doodle-ish, and you'll see there is a link to the Tech Teach, where I'll teach you how to use Animation-ish. But there are 3 different levels. You can go from just doing some very simple little GIF style, 3 or 4, I think they make 3 or 4, maybe 5 page, I think it's 3 little cell changes that just kind of help you understand the principles of animation. It goes on to Flipbookish, which works more like a flipbook style animation, and then it goes to Advanced, just where you can add things like sound and all kinds of great color stuff. And so it's a fantastic application for learning the basics of what we call that flipbook style animation, and we'll take a look at some of those others as well. The other ones I would recommend, Flip Anim is a really good one. This one works on almost all of your cell phones, tablets. It's an app. It's not going to work on your PC. I believe it works on the iPad, but not the MacBook, that sort of thing. Flip-a-Clip is my absolute favorite. I love Flip-a-Clip. And Flip-a-Clip has a great tutorial that shows you how to use Flip-a-Clip. I'm going to turn it down because we're not going to listen to it. But we can take a look at what they're saying. I'm going to talk over it. And so Flip-a-Clip is fantastic for doing these flip style or flipbook style animations and cartoons. There are several different programs that you could use to create flipbook style animations, and these are the ones I prefer and I like, but you can use whatever it is you like. Understand that sort of the benefits and the things that differ, or the things that are the same, sort of, almost all of them make use of repeated cells over and over again, where you'll set frames per second, how many of those little pictures you're going to see per second. That's a common thing you'll see on almost all of them. Some of the features that are more advanced that make animation more fun, easier, are things like this little lasso tool, where you can cut and paste the same things, so you don't have to draw the same things over and over and over again. Working in the layers, where you can have a background layer that moves at a different rate than a middle ground layer, that moves at a different rate than your top layer. And so considering some of how you might take advantage of some of the different tools that are offered in different applications, the reason I say that is I think before you choose and because we're going to choose wisely, you don't want to be animating in 6 different types of animation programs. It's, you want to pick one, learn it. You'll learn it better than I'll learn it. You'll do demonstrations with it and show others how to use that same application or program, and that's how STLP works. If you are not interested maybe in doing the flip style, let me see what I had down here. Yeah, sketchbook. We'll talk about that in a second. Sketchbook. Do I not have it on here? Oh, sketchbook Autodesk. Yes. If you have a Mac, a PC, I've got it on my iPad. I've got it on most everything. They have versions that work as an app on your phone, on your tablets, on your that kind of thing. But the full versions that run on your Chromebook, I believe you can get it from most Chromebooks. Not necessarily district Chromebooks, but most of the Chromebooks will, I think, allow it to run. If you're PC or Mac, you can definitely run full versions of the Sketchbook. It also has a full flipbook animation style application as part of its internal program. So you can just draw like a regular art app where you've got the layers and all fun stuff to create art, or you can then bring all that into your animation side of that same Sketchbook program. It's free. It's not anything you have to pay for, and you can create some amazing animations using Sketchbook by Autodesk. All right, so those are your essentially the flipbook style animation programs that I can provide assistance with. Now, if you have a different version, you can use that as well. Just you're going to train me on it. The other ways that we're going to look at animating would be to use stop motion. If you've never used stop motion, it's pretty cool. When I was a kid, there were shows like Wallace and Gromit when my son was growing up. When we were kids, all of the this is the Godzilla movie. King Kong movie. All of the Christmas specials were claymation, and they used stop motion animation. The Lego movies, if you use them, seen them. Now, they, I believe, have gone to sort of a computerized version of it. This is Wallace and Gromit. But stop motion essentially means that you make a 3-dimensional thing, you move it, take a picture, you move it a little more, take another picture, move it a little more, take another picture. And so this little demo I love. The guy is a lot of fun to watch. He does a great job of explaining exactly how it works. More importantly, how you can do it with a Chromebook. And he's got the kind of the camera that flips around, but he also shows it with the camera that just faces forward. You can create animations using your Chromebook from the district. If the Chromebook from the district is absolutely the only opportunity or way you're going to have to animate, this is probably your best alternative. I would focus on learning how to do stop motion animation if you are limited to a Chromebook from the district. There are some options I've heard of. I haven't gotten to work yet. One of them is to use take photos and then put them into like Google Slides, but Google Slides will only go about 1 frame per second. That's not fast enough to animate. So if you have access to PowerPoint, you can bring in a PowerPoint because PowerPoint can flip them faster. But if you have access to PowerPoint, you probably have access to the other flipbook style animators that are easier to use. So again, if you're on a Chromebook from the district, very likely that's going to be your go-to way to animate is stop motion animation. Alright, so what about Nomad and Blender? So Nomad, if you are on a Mac, I've got an iPad I use it on. I love this program. It's really cool. They have a free version. You can do one project essentially. It's pretty neat, but you can create a 3-dimensional customizable figure. It's like a 3D CAD system, computer-aided drawing system. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But not to be outdone, free and online. Again, did I mention it's free? Because that's my favorite price for something is free. Free is Blender. And Blender, is an online program that you can use from all kinds of different applications and programs. I don't think the district Chromebooks have it available yet, but I'm working on that, so hopefully we can get that set up. But Blender is one of those programs that lets you animate in 3 dimensions. We're going to learn how to create a 3-dimensional character, how to rig it, like put where the bones would be in the structure of that 3-dimensional character, and then how to move that character and animate that character. And so that's going to be a multi-series sort of lessons, if you will, that if you're interested in learning how to do that Blender, I'm going to be presenting those throughout. So that's one of those projects that we'll kind of work together with, and we'll probably work, if you are doing 3-dimension animation, you're probably going to be one of 2 or 3, and we'll probably do some special outside of class meetings just to kind of share out those. All right, guys. So here's what needs to happen over the next 2 weeks, and then we'll talk more here about what you would like to do and how you'd like to do it. And then I've got there's going to be a Jamboard. Thank you. Sorry, Jamboard, where you can kind of lay out your ideas, where we can share ideas. You can, and so I like Jamboard because I'm a visual person. If you have a stylus that'll draw on anything, you can then draw and use your handwriting. I like seeing that more so than I do text stuff, but you use whatever you're most comfortable with. But we'll have a Jamboard set up here in just a second. I'd like for you to kind of exchange some ideas, and we'll talk a little bit more about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So between now and the next 2 weeks, look through the site here, find the application that you would most like to use, and have some familiarity with it. Because what we want to do next week is we want to start looking at storyboarding. Now, you don't have to join the storyboarding course here, although I will say it couldn't hurt. But when we talk about storyboarding, we're talking about how we lay out the concept of our animation. Even if it's just a short 20-30 second animation, we're going to want to sort of lay out our ideas, and when we do that, we can call that storyboarding. That's the way I like to think of it. I use Post-it notes constantly. I usually have. I can't tell you how many. I've got the Post-it notes like nobody's business. But these are fantastic. First of all, it's a great way to do animation. So this is one way we really didn't talk about that you can create animation using Chromebook, and it is to simply use your a Post-it note. If you have old books that you got for free when a library was thrown away, and I say it like that because I don't want you to use books that you've paid good money for. But when I was in school, I would ruin my textbooks. I'll be honest about it, because I would do these little animations, little flipbook animations on the edges of the paper. I use Post-it notes now because I'm more respectful of the books I have. I recommend Post-it notes. You can do little flipbook style animations with a Post-it note. You can then put it in front of your Screencastify and make a cool animation and record it. We'll look at some of those next week, some of the different styles of animations and how you can incorporate those. And real quick, let's just do that before we leave here. I think I've got. I know where I can find an example. All right. Oop. Oh, it brings up to that timer. You love that, don't you? Let's see. This one is a stop motion movie that was nominated for an Oscar, oddly enough, I believe, for animation. Isn't that funny? I really like it. So we'll take a look. And again, if you're using District Chromebook, stop motion animation is probably the way you're going to want to go. So let's take a look at what does stop motion animation look like and how can you get creative with it. So I love this. I'm going to turn the sound up a little bit so you can hear it. And think about how the sounds that they create sort of sell the idea of the animation itself. So I love the idea of using these various things that aren't what they are to be something else. For instance, that's not a tomato, that's a Rubik's Cube, or onion, I should say. the pin cushion as a tomato. I love that idea. The bubble wrap to show boiling water. And so what an amazing use of materials. This is their spaghetti or pickup sticks. And so what's really cool is when the spaghetti gets done, you'll see here in just a second, they found a really cool material to use for the spaghetti noodles. Those various colors of pickup sticks. The little cubes get smaller, the little dice get smaller and smaller to show that they're shrinking and melting. Little pats of butter. And now those pickup sticks, they've used rubber bands to represent those, and that's a perfect use of that, again, that strange and interesting material. Yarn for grated cheese. There's another really good one where they make guacamole. I highly recommend those. We'll look real quick at a flip book animation. And just real quick, we're going to turn this down. But I want you to kind of see sort of how the flip book works. And you can kind of see each page gets developed. And as you can adjust that each page one after the other, it uses something we call onion skin, which is sort of like using transparent paper or tracing paper. And so by using those layers of tracing paper, you can see what you've drawn underneath and create fairly smooth and cool animations that let you create, let's see, there is a history of the world, or history of everything. I believe that's what it's called. We're not going to watch the whole thing, and I'm going to keep it turned down, but you can kind of see it's a pretty interesting, it's done using paper, regular paper. Just like you can do the same sort of thing with Post-it notes and put that right in front of your camera on your Chromebook and use your screencastify and create animation in this manner. So you can see they're just using a pen, different colors of pens, and I don't know how many thousands of pieces of paper they went through, but it's a very long animation. It's really cool. It goes through evolution, history of the world, all kinds of cool, fun stuff. It's pretty neat. And so those are just a couple of the different ways that you can create. Let's see if we've got one in Blender. Let's see. So you can kind of get an idea. So these are done in Blender. This is kind of more along the style that we're going to be creating. Oh, let's get through the commercials. And so ours is going to be more on the scale of, you know, the beginner settings. This one really doesn't get. We're going to be going a little further than this. This is very early. Hold on. There's another one. This is kind of along the lines of what we're going to be looking to create. Not going to be exactly this, but very similar. We're going to be looking at how you can create within that the application the animations, the movements that you're trying to create, not just in that flipbook style, but in a three-dimensional form. It's pretty cool. Blender's one of my favorites. It's hard. I'm gonna be honest. I'm still learning a whole lot about it myself. So be patient with me as I'm learning it as well. Okay, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of ideas you have for your animations. Thank you all for participating. Appreciate it.